welcome or welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Emma, and if you're not new here, it is time for the first monthly reading wrap-up of 2026. So let's jump into it. In January of 2026, I completed 6 books total and was partway through a 7th book, but that one will be on my February reading wrap-up. 4 of those books were romance and 3 of those books were romantasy. For some other quick stats, the longest book I read was 672 pages, and the shortest book I read was a novella that was 34 pages. I read 2 books by new to me authors. I continued 2 series I was in the middle of, and I also checked off 2 books from my 26 books I want to read in 2026, which I feel pretty accomplished about given that this was the first month of the year. My total pages read count was 2,255. Let's dive into the actual books I read. Starting off the month and the year, I finished Brimstone by Callie Hart, which is book 2 in the Quicksilver series? Trilogy. I'm not really sure how many books are planned for it. I read the first book, Quicksilver, in 2025 and knew I wanted to continue that series. Towards the end of December 2025, I had started reading Brimstone, which is the newest release, and I almost got done with it, but didn't technically finish it until the new year. If you guys don't know, this is an adult romantasy, which is arguably my favorite genre. The first book had been getting talked about so much on the internet. I was literally saying it all over Book Talk and knew I needed to figure out what all the hype was about. Obviously loved the first book, and I honestly think I enjoyed the second book a little bit more. I ended up rating Brimstone 4.75 out of 5 stars, just shy of a 5-star, and honestly the only reason it was not a 5-star read is because I did have moments where I found myself getting like a little bit lost or my mind was drifting. There's definitely a lot going on in the story. It's not like overly complicated to understand, but there are just a lot of places and characters and a lot going on with the magic system, especially in this book. And while I did really appreciate those aspects of it, it didn't have me like 100% invested the entire time I was reading it. But that's just me being picky. For the most part, I ate up every second of this book. I was honestly not expecting it to live up to how much I enjoyed the first book, Quicksilver, but like I said, I enjoyed Brimstone even more. And one of my favorite things about this book and this world as a whole is just how creative the magic system is. It's so unique and different to what I've read in other fantasy romance books. As an avid romantasy reader, I often feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over again. Like it's your same enemies to lovers, slow burn, magic systems are similar, world building is similar, and it ends up feeling kind of predictable. But with Quicksilver, I was very pleasantly surprised, and even more surprised with Brimstone. I love how Callie Hart is expanding this world, and as we're learning new things about it, I'm even more intrigued, and I genuinely have not read another fantasy or romantasy book with this type of magic system in it. I'm very, very excited for the next book to come out and to see what else she writes and does with this world. I also read a little novella in the world of Quicksilver, and it's called Kingfisher's Point of View. I believe this is actually taking place during the events of the first book, Quicksilver. It's just from our male main character's perspective. I honestly am not sure if I maybe should have read that before going into Brimstone, but I ended up reading it after Brimstone, but honestly felt like reading that gave me a lot more perspective and understanding on maybe some nuances that I missed while reading the original books the first time. It was short and sweet. It didn't take me very long to read, but I really enjoyed it, and after finishing Brimstone, I wasn't ready to be out of that world, so reading Kingfisher's POV just gave me that little like extra taste and extra like peek into what their lives look like, and made me even more excited for this series to continue. I did rate Kingfisher's POV 3 out of 5 stars, but because it's a novella, I feel like that's a really, really good rating. I do not usually give novellas or short stories higher than a 3-star just because it's not fully fleshed out. So objectively, to me, it just can't be better than a 3-star. So in my mind, that's still a really, really good rating. I highly enjoyed it. It's exactly what I needed after finishing Brimstone and being already ready to be back in that world. I then read Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. This is a dark romance comedy. I'm really not fully sure how you would classify this, but it is a dark romance about serial that are in love with each other, and the premise of that just really intrigued me. I'm not typically a huge dark romance fan. It's just very hit or miss for me. I either can't stand it or I have a really fun time reading it, so I'm still playing around with understanding what I like and don't like in dark romance. So hearing that this was a funny take on dark romance, I was super excited to jump into it, and I've had it on my TBR for quite a while now. And I'm so glad I chose to pick this book up because I absolutely loved it. Something about the balance between the super dark elements of the dark romance and what these characters do for a living, mixed with this almost satirical aspect of it and almost in a way rom-com-y aspects. It was just the perfect blend, and it was so much fun to read this book. I really did not know what to expect going into it because, like I said, I haven't fully formed my opinion or developed my taste when it comes to dark romance, but this book 100% was a favorite of this month. And there are, I believe, 2 other books in a interconnected standalone type of situation with this one that I'm very excited to get to, and hopefully I will like just as much. I ended up rating Butcher and Blackbird 4.75 out of 5 stars, so right off the bat, 2 really great novels that I gave high ratings to at the very beginning of the year. 2026 has been looking amazing so far. Then I jumped into the Lancaster Prep series by Monica Murphy and started with the first book that is called Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did. I knew practically nothing about this series before going into it, other than the fact that it took place at a prep school and that people love Monica Murphy's books. I obviously knew it was romance, but other than that, I had no clue what to expect. And this first book I did enjoy, but I also have mixed feelings about it. It's a bully romance, which I've maybe read a few other bully romances before, but I don't quite know that that is my favorite romance trope to read about. But I will say, as I read the book and as I continued getting to know the characters, it didn't bother me quite as much. And then also trying to classify the genre this book fits into is a little bit weird. Like I said, it is contemporary romance. The characters are high schoolers, but the contents of the book are very much not YA. It is extremely spicy, extremely explicit, and don't get me wrong, I love me some good spice, but I think I was just thrown off a little bit by the fact that we were reading about teenage characters, but this was very much an adult book. I don't know, and maybe if I would have done a little bit more digging about it before I went into it, that wouldn't have caught me off guard so much, obviously. But all in all, to say I did really enjoy this book. It just, I don't know, I'm kind of still sitting with it and trying to develop how I feel about it. It was definitely one of those books that was like addicting and impossible to put down. It is an enemies to lovers. Obviously, I know I said it was a bully romance, and the tension in it was phenomenal. I cannot lie about that. To me, it was very slice of life in terms of the overall general plot. Like, not much was happening other than them going to school and doing normal teenage activities, but the romance itself and the character development was kind of the star of the show, which I personally really enjoy in books. I'm a very character-driven reader. My only other small bone I have to pick with it is that I felt like it was a bit too long for what we were getting, but all in all, I really enjoyed it. That's just me being super picky with it. I ended up giving this book a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Then I jumped into the next book in the Lancaster Prep series, which is also probably the most famous book in the Lancaster Prep series, or at least the most talked about book, and that is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. I feel like I have been seeing this one all over Book Talk for forever, and I honestly thought that A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime was the first book in the series until I looked up the reading order, just because I never hear people talk about things I never said. So going into A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, I was expecting it to be like significantly different or better or more groundbreaking, I don't know, than Things I Never Said, because it obviously is the one that gets the most hype. And while I did really enjoy it, I don't necessarily think I liked it better than Things I Wanted to Say. To me, they're pretty even with each other. This one is more of a forbidden love type of trope. It's very bad boy, good girl. So I loved that aspect of it. It is still taking place at the prep school, and I don't know if I already mentioned this, but any book, any genre that's taking place in a school setting, I am automatically going to eat up. So that aspect of it I was very much loving. This one had some more amazing tension and slow burn and banter. I loved every second of that. I do still think the graphicness of the spice threw me off a little considering their high school characters. Like, it almost seems like the book is meant to be a YA, but then you open it and read it and you're like, whoa, this is not a YA book. But again, I probably should have done a little bit more digging into what the series was before starting it, and I wouldn't have been caught off guard so much. This one also was not quite as lengthy as the first one, which was a good thing in my opinion. It was still a long book, but I thought the length and the timeline of how the story fleshed out made sense, and it kept me engaged the entire time. I also kept thinking the entire time I was reading it how great it would be as a TV show, so maybe that will happen one day. All in all, I really enjoyed it, aside from like some minor bones I had to pick with it, minor things that I'm just being overly picky about, but for the most part, very enjoyable, and I am excited to be continuing with this series. I ended up giving it a solid 4 stars, same as what I rated the first book. Between those two, I don't know that I necessarily have one that I liked better than the other. I liked them for different reasons, and I'm excited to see what I think about the next book in the series. And then to finish off the month, I read a novella in the Lancaster Prep series called Birthday Kisses. This follows the same characters from A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, but it's taking place around the holidays and around our female main character's birthday, which coincidentally enough, January is my birthday month, so I kind of thought it was just perfect to read like a birthday themed book around my birthday. This was super short. I flew through it in one sitting, and it was just fun to get a little bit more insight into the lives of those two main characters that I had just finished reading about. It was nothing groundbreaking by any means, but if you really enjoyed A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, I think it would be worth it to read the little novella and kind of just get like the happier, more slice of life moments of what their relationship is like.
So as I'm editing this, I realized that I completely forgot to tell you guys what I rated this book. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. One, because like I said a minute ago, I hardly ever rate novellas higher than a 3 star. So to me, a 3 star is the top end of what I could have given it. But also it was literally only 34 pages, so I didn't get much from it. It was a fun book, but it was nothing spectacular. I feel like a 2.5 star is even me being generous.
And those are all the books I read in January 2026. I feel like we're off to a phenomenal start this year. January was such a great reading month. I genuinely enjoyed every single book I picked up, and I am super excited to be getting to more books in February. Stay tuned because my February TBR video will be coming out very, very soon, and you guys can see all of the books that are on my radar for the month of February. But if you guys have read any of the books off of this reading wrap up, comment below and let me know what you thought of them, because I'm very interested to know. And also comment what your favorite read from January 2026 was. As always, I will have my Instagram, TikTok, and Goodreads linked in the description below if you'd be interested in following me on those other platforms and checking out my other content. Or if you're wanting to watch more videos right now, you can head over to this channel and see all of the other videos I have posted currently. And obviously, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. And that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.